Hello dear viewer, dear listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Welcome to yet another exciting and impactful episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We do our best always to, stretch the envelope a little bit and bring new and exciting content to you. Today, I have a wonderful guest for you. I have a YouTube content creator who's also an entrepreneur, Miss Ayishe Molefe. Welcome to our studio here at Black, Ayishe.
Thank you for having me. As Mr. Mogobe said, my name is Ayishe Molefe. I am a YouTube content creator, makeup artist, employee, and digital entrepreneur. I focus my content on beauty and lifestyle and just general personal growth and self-improvement.
It is interesting to me that you are both an employee and self-employed. And I like to tell my viewers that I'm promoting entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. So if you're working within a company, I call you an intrapreneur. So share with the listener what that means, where you're working and what you do. Okay,
so where I work, it's definitely like almost the same thing as what I do, but for other companies. As I said, I am a content creator. I create content for my own brand, my own platform. Whereas where I work, which is those guys, we create content for our clients. For example, if we gain Black as a client, we create online content for Black. We post, we take the pictures ourselves, we do the copywriting, we engage the audience, and on days or on occasions where there are campaigns and things of the sort, we creative direct and run the campaign.
I've seen you on YouTube. You've actually been around YouTube for quite some time. If I'm not mistaken, it's 4 years or so. So 3 or 4 years.
Three years, yes.
So what drove you to be a content creator? What sparked your interest?
I just consumed a lot of content. Growing up, I'd always see myself as this adult who walked around and did my work in the creative field, but also in a corporate field. But I wasn't sure how to go about it. And I've always wanted to express myself in a creative platform. I've tried being a photographer. I've tried being a blogger just specifically for writing. And I consumed a lot of YouTube content. So I decided, you know what, this is something that I want to try. And if it works out, I'm going with it.
Okay. And one of the important things which I want to talk about is that of self-expression. I've noticed that you really are laid back. I've noticed that you're really down to earth in your content presentation. So can you share with the viewer the importance of self-expression? Why is it important to be yourself and express yourself?
Okay, I'm going to take it from the point of view of like my faith now. God did not create me to be somebody else. He knew me before I was born. He knew me before I was conceived, before I even existed in any form on earth. And who am I to come and try and be somebody else when there's already a path in line for me? Granted, not everybody knows their paths from the get-go. I did not know my path from a young age. I always knew I wanted to be in the creative space, but I didn't know how. But as I continued to fight to be myself, to figure out who I am, what I like, what I don't like, what I tolerate, what I won't tolerate, that's how I came to being this person you see as Ayishe. And one of the things I realized is that the most important thing about self-expression is that you have to do things because it's how you feel and it's what you want. If you choose certain things, if you do certain things to impress other people or to appease other people, you'll never feel fully fulfilled until you do it because you know it's what you want.
Yeah, I'd like you to speak a little bit to maybe entrepreneurs who are still discovering themselves. Maybe they're late teenagers, somebody in their 18s, 19s. The focus is always on other people, that, my friends, my peers, that's why we talk about peer pressure. What advice would you give based on your experience to such people?
For entrepreneurs, always strive to learn more. Always strive to learn more. Nobody's born knowing everything. You'll find even doctors who've been practicing for 20, 30 years, they're always interested in doing research and learning more. So even as the entrepreneur, it's very important for you to know what you want to do, but also try and further your knowledge in whatever it is you're doing. Try and improve, try and hear who's saying what they want from you, what they don't want from you. It's always important to do research and try to learn more.
I want us to talk a little bit more. You touched on it earlier about your faith. How did you stumble into this faith, and why is it so important in your entrepreneurial journey?
Growing up, I've always been Christian, ke godile ke le ngwana mo Roma and stuff, and I had a very passive approach to my faith. Like even just life, as a teenager, you just have a passive approach to everything. That also happened with my faith. And sometime this year, I just decided, you know what, I don't like this thing of feeling like I'm reliving the same year over and over. And I took a very intentional, active approach to my faith. When people ask me, do you believe in God? I don't want to say, yeah. I want to be able to say that I believe in God. I believe He has saved me. I believe certain things, and be able to back it up as well. And the only way for me to back up the fact that I do believe is to read, to learn more about God, to learn more about the Bible. Like I said, in anything you do, you have to be intentional. You have to do it, as I like to say, you have to do it with your chest. So if you're going to be
sticking your chest out. Yeah.
You have to do it with your chest. So this is the approach I also took to my faith, that as much as I have been believing in God, I've been very passive in it. And I took this approach as, sorry, I'm babbling. But
you're getting to the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether this decision this year is related to COVID or circumstances.
No, it happened before. I remember the 31st of December, I decided 2020 is not going to be the same as all these previous years. So I decided in order for me to know God, to experience Him better in my life, I have to take the steps.
I like the when you say you don't want to live the same day over and over. There's a movie that I once saw called Groundhog Day. It's about reliving the same experience over and over. And to a great extent, I think we are doing a lot of that. So do you consciously try to inject excitement, to inject something different in your day on a daily basis?
Not necessarily. I think for me, it's in terms of I'm not looking for excitement, because for most of my life I've been a student, I've been a child, I've been a dependent. But how I see myself in the future is not being that person. So instead of trying to find a little excitement in everything or whatever, I try to I'm generally a very enthusiastic person, so finding excitement is not difficult, but I try to find continuity, growth. So not necessarily excitement, but take a step forward. Look at today and say, today was different from yesterday. Yesterday was different from the previous day.
So you want those incremental steps?
Yes.
I like that. Now let's talk about your career and your career journey. I want to talk I want you to talk about it specifically in the context of you being a blogger. What are the prospects in Botswana, and how are Botswana, especially the youth, responding to blogging? Okay,
so I don't like to call myself a blogger because, like I said, a content creator. Yeah, I like to call myself a content creator because it's broader and it's inclusive of other things. The content I create is not specifically just for YouTube alone. I do some on Instagram, I do some on Twitter, and all together this makes the Ayishe Molefe brand, right? And so in Botswana, I think there has been growth, but if we're speaking candidly and honestly, one of the major setbacks is the audience. The Botswana, the Botswana audience does not have access to our content, especially if it's online.
Why?
Because the majority of people in Botswana don't have access to internet, let alone other necessities, So we don't have a lot of access to internet, and because of that, it's stunting our growth as content creators because we aren't reaching who we're trying to reach out to, and because we're not reaching out to those people, we also don't know what they want to see from us. And now it also tends to make us skew towards trying to reach an outside audience when we should be trying to start the charity at home.
Let's talk about specifically the beauty industry.
Okay.
Maybe you could take this time to explain your role and your involvement in it.
Okay.
And then let's talk about your career as a makeup artist, as someone who's involved in beauty. Maybe you can explain that a bit more.
I started my beauty journey just trying out makeup. And of course, it started out looking terrible. But obviously, as practice, as I kept doing research and stuff like that, then I went on to call myself a beauty content creator. So as a beauty content creator, not only do I put on makeup and do tutorials for other people to learn how to do their makeup, I also review products. I also share my experiences with products. I'll take maybe lipstick or foundation, try it on and tell you, this is what I like about it and this is what I don't like about it. And the reason why it's so important is that the difference between a content creator and maybe just a general advert is that we have honest opinions. We give honest experiences. That's really the whole point of a content creator. People trust us more than they trust the ad they see on TVs, because the main aim is not to sell. The main aim is to be honest about this said product. And so, of course, as I continue...
The main aim is to educate.
Yes, to educate, exactly. So as I progressed, I decided creating content is not enough. I genuinely enjoy the craft. I genuinely enjoy doing makeup. Why not do it on other people and earn an extra buck? Of course, it started as a student when I was a student. So I decided, let me just earn an extra buck. And the more I did it, the more it fulfilled me, in the sense that I could see the light it brought to my clients.
Who's your target market?
My target market.
Yes.
Anyone and everybody who can afford me. So if I'm trying to make money more than express my creativity, I'm looking at corporates who are doing campaign shoots, who are doing billboard shoots and stuff. They're my target. If I'm looking towards flaunting my talent, my skill, then I'm looking towards either banyadi, brides who are getting married, or students who are just finishing high school and they have prom, and anybody in between.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. And obviously along the way you stumble, you get setbacks, and you have to overcome those. So how do you deal with negativity?
In terms of opinions or negativity in terms of...
Let's deal with each first. Let's deal with opinions first.
Opinions, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a while, but it takes thick skin. Just in general in life, everybody's gonna have an opinion about everything. So you have to pick and choose which opinions are constructive criticism. Be able to tell which is the constructive criticism and which is just people being mean. So as I've done that, I think I have a good eye. I can be able to tell who's being malicious and who's being honest. And then the major setbacks I've experienced, or the most recent major one, is I once lost a potential client because I wasn't a registered business. And so I decided, this shouldn't be a reason for me to lose out on a client.
They probably checked you at SIPA and didn't find you.
Yes, exactly. And so I decided, you know what, this is not something I should have to struggle with. And I decided the last gig I got, I'm going to use the money to go into properly registering my business, opening a bank account, and having it.
It's not
SIPA.
difficult.
It's not difficult. Although I did have some setbacks during the process, it's not very difficult, because I get this happened during lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
But the major thing was that. And now looking back, I'm glad it happened, because now the process of opening the bank account, the process of registering, gave me a whole new outlook of what it means to be an entrepreneur. It's not just, being booked, making the money and stuff. It also comes with a lot of discipline, comes with accountability, being able to say, my dear, this is not the money. I'm not receiving this money so I can go drinking or whatever with this money. I'm receiving it so I can put it back into the business so that it grows and things of the sort.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And it connects nicely with the next point, which has to do with self-confidence. I suppose we touched on it indirectly when you talked about self-expression. How, especially as a content creator, important is self-confidence? How do you actually develop it, and how do you maintain it?
Developing it takes practice. For example, if it's YouTube, your first video is gonna be completely different from your 50th video.
Tell me about it.
It's gonna be completely different. Your first video, there are gonna be a lot of and excuse me, and little things that you don't normally notice during conversation. But as you grow and you get better, you watch and see what you want to change. Practice, keep consistency and keep practicing. Your self-confidence will develop to a point where you start talking and you don't even shy away from it. and maintaining it. It's not even in the content creator space, but just as an individual. You have to be very intentional about how you want to see and imagine yourself. If you see yourself as a confident person who, when you step into the room and you speak, people listen to you, you have to actively every day. It's not okay, I'm gonna do this next week or whatever. It has to be every day I'm doing something to achieve this goal. I'm being very intentional about it, and I'm being almost aggressive.
Right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, I noticed that you're a strong-willed person. I say this because of what you explained in regard to dealing with negativity, and I've seen you also on YouTube. How did you develop such a strong will, and what did you say to my young audience, young entrepreneurs out there, about the importance of developing a strong will, that ability to persevere and to be tenacious?
Unfortunately for me, it came out of a lot of negativity. I caught many L's, I made many mistakes, many setbacks. But it's a thing of, it's either to be strong-willed, to succeed, you have to. There's no other way. Any advice I'd want to give to anybody out there who's listening, the youth, entrepreneurs, young women specifically, is you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. You're gonna be rejected a lot, but that should not stop you. It should not stop you, because if you truly, honestly believe in what you have to offer, then one rejection is like, okay, fine, what do I need to do to move forward? Another thing is ask for feedback. Feedback helps a lot.
How do you do that?
For example, if let's say I send a proposal and it doesn't get feedback, then I don't know what was the problem. So if let's say I send you a proposal for, okay, no, I want to work with Black, blah, 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 and all that stuff, and then you say, okay, unfortunately, we cannot have you working with us for now, and then I just keep it moving, then I don't know what exactly the problem is. It could have been a problem.
In other words, you don't know my objection or the reasons for saying no.
Exactly. It could have been a reason on your end that had nothing to do with me, or it could have been a reason on my end. And I need to find that out in order for me to be able to do better in the next proposal, or in the next this, or in the next that. So always ask for feedback, whether it's from your parents, your teachers, your peers. Don't just take an X on your paper as an X. So ask why is it an X? What can I do to improve? Do corrections, basically.
Self-correct.
Yes.
All right. Now, we want to go back to your beauty journey as we come to the end of our conversation, in terms of, as a makeup artist. If I were to say 5 years down the line, where do you see the journey going, and how are you going to get there?
As a makeup artist, 5 years down the line, I see it still the way it is, but earning more money, because my main aim, if I have a 5-year plan, the top thing, the main image is not necessarily makeup artistry. It's more all around entrepreneurship. I've always envisioned myself as a person who is employed and is
can be both, isn't it?
Yeah. I've always seen myself as both these people. And so when I make my 5-year plan, I still envision all these things, but at a larger scale, at a more experienced scale, at a more moneyed scale, and things of the sort. So as a makeup artist, I do see myself doing makeup, but not as much as I need to right now, because I'll be focusing on other things. I'll be focusing on
I suppose another question that could come from that is, recognizing that Botswana is a relatively small market, how do you think other entrepreneurs, especially in the beauty industry, can break through in terms of regionally first and then internationally?
Collaboration. Collaboration is always where it starts, because if you work on your own and you don't know other people, nobody's gonna know you. So don't be afraid to reach out to not just other makeup artists, but models, photographers, because it's not a singular job. You work with a lot of other people who do other different things that complement what you do. So I think collaboration is
that
the
something
beginning.
you're doing?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, great stuff. Now, as we conclude, I want you to look at the camera and talk to the viewer and say to them one last word of encouragement or one gift that you can give them, sort of as a takeaway from this conversation.
Okay, what I hope you guys have taken away from this conversation is something that I've been practicing a lot, something that I hold very dearly to my heart, and is to do things very intentionally, do things with your chest. If you decide you want to achieve something, you have to take not just the big strides, but even the small steps that are required from you to do these things. So yeah, do things with your chest, guys.
Okay, now how do we reach out to you? Where are you available online and elsewhere?
I'm available on Twitter and Instagram. My handles are at Ayishe with 2 I's. And then on Facebook, it's Ayishe M. YouTube is Ayishe M. And my email for business purposes, of course, is ayishe5@gmail.com.
Okay. Why don't you tell them also to subscribe to
Mogobe
Nuggets of Wisdom?
Yes, please do subscribe, guys. How could I forget? Please do subscribe, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for being, you've been a great guest. It was an honor interviewing you. Thank you.